traditionally, we measure age as something retrospective. Usually we are saying that person is 6 years old if he has lived 60 years. And traditionally we think that someone is at age 60 old. That's at least United Nations usually considers older people age 60 or above. Sometimes age 65 or above are considered to be old people. However, people today and people yesterday or many years ago at age 60 or at age 65 are very different people. People live longer, people are much healthier. For example, if we could compare someone at age 60 today and 200 years ago. 200 years ago, someone at age 60 was a really old person because very few people would survive until age 60. Today, at least in countries with high life expectancy, more than 90% of people survive until age 60. So age 60 is medium age, median age. It's not really, it's people are not old at age 60. So what is the difference? Why 200 years ago they were considered old, today they're considered middle-aged? Because life expectancy increased tremendously. And if some time ago people at age 60 had very little perspective to live, today they have a lot of life ahead. And someone at age 65 is not really old. Once we fix some number and keep it for all time, and in future we say this is proportion of people age 65, this is proportion of age 65 was 100 years ago, we compare them, it's completely invalid because people are different, people's characteristics are different, and this threshold of who is old is also changing. So we cannot consider people old always at the same age. So that's where we had this idea that actually who is old, it's not fixed, it's changing. And it depends upon many things. And one of the things is that, for example, we measured how many years people will still live at a particular age. And this is, if we fix this as this is constant measure, for example, 15 years. Let's say that someone is old when remaining life expectancy is 15 years or less. Then it is moving, it is changing. So in the 60s, in Europe, for example, it was 15 years. So someone at age 65 had about 15 years of life. Today in Europe, a person at age 73 has the same 15 years. So basically, someone at age 73 is equivalent to someone who was 65 in the 60s. So that's if we consider someone old at age 65 in 60s, now this person is 73-year-old. So that should be the threshold of being old. So that's why many characteristics also change. I'm talking only about remaining life expectancy. Many other characteristics of people changed. So if we fix characteristics and trace what is the age when these particular characteristics of people is reached, then it's much, much, much better to measure age with this age and aging with this type of measures. Because aging is not unidimensional, it's multidimensional process, and we have to take many other dimensions into account. Prospective age is exactly what I was trying to explain. So if we take, for example, population, then all people with the same age lived with the traditional age, the retrospective age, lived exactly the same number of years. Prospective age is about the future. So all people with the same prospective age are expected to live the same number of years. So, for example, if someone in 1900 at age 40 was expecting to live, so remaining life expectancy at age 40 was, say, I don't know, 25 years, then 100 years later, this remaining life expectancy of 20 years was for people at age 50, which means 50 and 40 are the same. So we may say that someone who is today 50 years old has prospective age 40 if we measure it in terms of 1900. It's like constant dollar. With constant dollar, it's clear. We never measure prices in changing dollars. We always say, okay, let's say something costs this $20 in dollars of 1960. And it's clear, right? So if I would say, okay, I bought in 50 years from now, jacket costs $10,000. Is it much? You never know, because you have to translate it into constant dollars, because there is inflation. Similar thing happens with life expectancy, with ages. So there is even a terminology after we introduced our work, which is, it's called age inflation. So you also translate one age into another age using life tables. So we talk about age of people measured at some particular point using life tables, this typical demographic technique, for example, 1960, 1970, at some fixed point. I think this is the most important question, because I would also answer the previous question about this dependency ratio, prospective dependency ratio, and proportion of people above age, say, 65. Usually, most of our politicians, of our economists, they are sort of alarming us with tremendous aging coming. They say, okay, now look, proportion of people above age 65 is tremendously increasing. Now, so what? Again, we consider someone at age 65 old, but in 100 years from now, person at 65 will be almost young. So we should not fix this. And if we assume that we consider someone being old at age when remaining life expectancy is 15 years, for example, and less, then the picture of this proportion of old will be extremely different. It will be much, much, much less, alarming. So that's why it has tremendous policy implications. Another thing, you can, of course, use this type of things to develop what should be the pension age. The pension age could be derived from this prospective age. So it helps you to establish what is really the time to retire, at least legal pension age. Well, center is, I just want to wish all the best to the center, because the center is very well known all around the world. We had a long-standing collaboration with the center, and center has remarkable scientists, remarkable master's program, remarkable young generation of demographers, and we can only wish all the best. I can only wish all the best to the center and hope for future collaboration with the center.